real estate agent? Are you looking to acquire clients consistently so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle? This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Real Estate Talk-TGIF episode. This is number 163. We've got Tom Toole with us, who is just a wonderful human being, a great realtor. He's worked with some of the best coaches around. Honestly, he has worked with the best coaches, no question. And is just like, he knows his stuff. He talks about it like it's second nature and really knows what's going on. But Tom, I got to ask you a question before we get started. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 163. That's 163 episodes in 160 straight weeks. The question I have for you, Tom, what does TGIF stand for?
Well, I'll tell you what it doesn't stand for. Thank goodness it's Friday, because way too many people, they have this mentality where they just quit on the week when Friday morning rolls around. So, I like thank goodness it's Friday, but to me, it's another work day. You still got 15% of the week left to go get done what you need to get done. And I think that's a bad mindset that a lot of people have in the marketplace and just in general right now.
That's exactly the reason, now that I think of it, that it's not what you just said it is. It's thank God it's finale. Day finale.
There we go. I like it. All right.
There we go, right? So it's much better. Here we are. We're at TGIF here, episode 163. Tom Toole, hey man, thank you so much for coming on. I've been listening to you on the 5 a.m. call for a long time when you're on it. And it's just something that you're motivational, it's inspiring, and it's really important. But before we get into the nitty gritty of the real estate business, talk to me about where you came from. What's your story? I mean, how did you get started in this business, and why did you get started in this business to get where you are today?
Sure. So I like a lot of people, there was a family connection. My father owns our real estate firm. He's been doing this since 1978. So I got licensed when I was 19. I was in business school at Syracuse University, and that was great. And I was an accounting and finance major. And then what I realized pretty quickly is that I came home one summer, sold a couple houses, and that was a lot more exciting. We were really helping people. And in my view, I could be doing journal entries the rest of my life and having to navigate the corporate political landscape, which I'm not a big fan of, or I could become a business owner, really have a limitless potential of what I could do and help other people by helping them buy and sell, which is a really stressful process that we all know people don't go through that often. And, we've taken that even a step further, and now we're looking to empower our team members to have a great place to work and have a great life outside of work, because growing up the son of a real estate agent, it was tough, and, there's a better way here. And that's really what our mission of our team is all about right now. So I think Dave, here he is.
Here we are.
All right, you're back. Sorry, I'm quick and to the point, Dave.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry, technology is, I'm really good at it, but sometimes I really suck at it. Like when I have to maneuver in this process. And this is a great application. So many things I can do with it. So you were, as some people have said, in the years that I've been in this business, in 21 years I had my brokerage, was you were actually an SOB, son of a broker, right? So,
yep.
there's a lot of things that go along with that. So one of the things I want to talk about, which has been big for me and people I've been working with and coaching over the past several months, are breakthroughs. So there's a lot of things that happen with breakthroughs, and there's a lot of, let's talk about this in the realm of different types of agents and where they are, right? So for me, it was like, stuck, right? And I think we've talked about different types of agents, new agents, stuck agents, and producing agents. So talk to me about breakthroughs in terms of that.
Yeah, well, so I've seen a couple breakthroughs in my career. I've been doing this 20 years. And my first year, I sold like 20 homes, which that was a breakthrough in itself, just being able to transact and help people that first year when I was a 22-year-old kid that didn't really know a whole lot. So that was number one breakthrough, and that was just hard work and following through and being coachable. That was the start. Then, I kind of got stuck as an individual agent. I mean, you mentioned that, and there's a lot of people that go through that where they don't know how to scale or build their business because they don't have a lot of business training. This industry doesn't offer a lot of training in that regard. There's tons of contract knowledge and here's what this says, here's what this says. Building a business is the hard skill. And so I got to a point where I was doing 35, 40 deals a year and kind of got stuck there for a year or two. And then we really went deep on coaching. Was able to have another breakthrough a few years later where we did 80 deals with myself and one assistant, which that was a breakthrough. And that was pretty wild. I mean, I just had my son. We were literally working all the time. And then that's when we realized that in order to get to the next breakthrough, we had to really build a team and start to scale. Or I could keep doing that and that would have been fine and I would have had a great life. I wanted a better quality of life. I wanted to be able to, hang out with my kids and see my wife and do those things. And believe me, I've gotten in like many fights with my wife about working too much. Like I've been there, like it doesn't all go well for people. So
absolutely.
And now, that was about 9 years ago. And now our teams, we're going to sell over 500 homes this year. That's another breakthrough that we've had over the past year or two where we've been able to develop really great systems that are scalable and repeatable, provide an environment that gives a predictable result for our agents based on our training and our lead sources and everything else. So we've really systemized everything and gotten some really strong operations with predictable lead pillars. And that's the next evolution. So really for all those breakthroughs, it took something different. The first was just working hard and putting in the time, which a lot of agents don't do. 87% of agents fail their first 5 years. They're out, right? So
That's right.
Putting in the work is number one. Then, becoming more tactical and having a business plan and understanding how to kind of have that second breakthrough or even third breakthrough, and then developing systems and developing systems and partnerships and working on the business as well as working in the business. I mean, I'll be the first one to roll my sleeves up and get right in the trenches with our folks and our people at our team, because I'm clear you got to do that as a leader. And at the same time, there's time when I'm working on the business to empower our agents to go sell more real estate. Because we know a lot of teams out there, the team lead takes all the good business and they give the scraps to the other agents. And they say, you go work with buyers, I'll take all the listings. We're teaching people how to list. We're teaching them how to work their sphere. We're working on them the same way that I worked on myself and trying to transfer those skills that help me have that first and second breakthrough so our people can have a great life outside of real estate as well.
So we talked about, how you've been able to build. You talked about, doing the work, being tactical, building systems, et cetera, right? And having predictable lead pillars. Okay. So we can talk about this stuff, and I want to get to some of this more specifically, but I need to ask you because look, new agents, stuck agents, which we mentioned, and agents just starting to go along, trying to learn this business, run into roadblocks, get frustrations, and they just say, damn, this stuff sucks, and I just can't get there. And they say, maybe I should just get a job, right? And I look at a lot of these people that are really good, and they just they get so frustrated. What were some of your frustrations, and how did you jump over them and knock those walls out of the way?
This is a mental business. I mean, there's nothing that's really that hard about real estate. I mean, everyone kind of knows what they need to do. They know they need to make their calls every day. They know that the number one indicator is to go on appointments and to meet as many people as you can, because whoever talks to the most people goes on the most appointments and they sell the most houses. Like the numbers are there, right? And so, the first part is your mindset, because every agent out there, they do a couple deals, right? And they do those couple deals and they want to hold them together and make sure they're able to close. And what inevitably happens is they pick their foot off the gas and stop doing what got them the sales in the first place, because we're always on a 90-day lag, right? That's just how the real estate industry works, where if you're having a challenge, look at what you were doing 90 days ago and whatever was happening there, that's probably the reason why you're feeling it now. So it's always that mindset of do something your future self's going to thank you for. And, there's people that look for like short-term pleasure, and that doesn't create long-term gains. Like, it's great if you want to go out and do something that's going to make you feel good right now. Like you want to, go out on a date on a Wednesday night or stay out late or do whatever, instead of maybe going to bed early, getting up and exercising and going to the office and making 2 hours of phone calls the next day. So then you're not going to see an immediate gratification from that. So, and that's the hard thing for a lot of people. Everyone wants that like now business, and there's places you can start there, but to have a sustainable business over time, you've got to do the things that are going to pay off down the line. This is a very long game, and the more you do today, the better off you're going to be 90, 180, 365 days down the line. So for the agents that feel like they're stuck, I think they got to make a commitment of, hey, here's the results I'm looking for, and then do the math, right? So if you want to do 50 deals a year, you got to figure out how many appointments you need to go on to do 50 sales a year, and then how many people you need to talk to go on those appointments. And then you break it down on a monthly and daily basis. Then you have that focus each day of, I need to talk to 15 people a day and I'm going to hit my goals. That's a lot easier than saying I'm going to sell 50 homes a year. You got to have that small daily action that's going to add up over time. And to me, that's the difference between people that have those breakthroughs and don't, is because they know, look, I may not even get in any appointments today. I may not make any good contacts today, but if I have those conversations over time, things start happening in bunches and the numbers are going to even out.
Absolutely. I mean, those are some great nuggets right there of getting through being stuck. And it's just a matter. I mean, I can simplify everything you just said in 3 words: do the work, right?
Agreed,
I mean,
yeah.
it's so simple, but you know what? This thing we use as a phone, it gets really heavy. You know, it's 10,000 pounds. We can't pick it up. I mean, okay, so those who use dialers, different story, but we got to keep making the phone calls and stuff. And that leads me to the lead pillars. Okay. So you said we need predictable lead pillars to build our business. Okay. So for me, those predictable lead pillars, or the basic pillars of our business, in my opinion, there's 7 of them, right? There's sphere of influence, for sale by owners, expireds, withdrawals, social media, open houses, and circle prospecting, right? Would you agree to those? And what do you think is less obtrusive for an agent to get going with?
Well, you hit on all the sweat equity lead pillars. I mean, to me, that's the stuff where it really moves the needle, because there's a lot of opportunities out there. If you're going to, I mean, you mentioned social media, which is a great one. There's a lot of like portal opportunities, internet leads, things you can do there. And you know, that's a little bit of a different model. But to your point, I think that what you said, I read this book like when I first got, it was 2008 when the market crashed, right? And there was a book, you probably read it. It's Real Estate by Mike, right? Like the handbook that he made. And the first thing was like, you got to work your sphere. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing that. And then I was looking for answers after that. All my business at that point was coming from our sphere. So then it said expired for sale by owners. And I was like, okay, that's great. And this was, 2008 was not an easy time. Everyone complains about the market today. I take this market over 2008, 10 times out of 10, every time, because people were afraid. They were losing their houses. It was a much more economic, uncertain time. There's uncertainty now, but it's around health. It's not around economics and affordability. So because of that, my whole business is built on me picking up the phone and making expired calls. Because if you don't have to do all 7 of those lead pillars, everyone should work their sphere. I think that's a no-brainer, right? But then what are you going to be a specialist at? What are you going to be an expert at? And you don't need to be an expert at all 7 of them. But if you can be an expert at one and then have some sort of, internet lead pillar that comes in, because that's where all the eyeballs are, you really only need like 3 lead pillars. And I think people, and I was able to do 90 deals a year for 10 years using internet leads, expired listings, and working my sphere. It was that simple. And the whole key to that, to your point, is picking up the phone and people hearing the sound of my voice. Everyone wants to text and email, and that's a good way to do follow-up, but we are a call-first team. That's one of our principles at our team. And when you pick up the phone and people hear the sound of your voice and they hear the tonality and how committed you are to helping them, and if you work on your scripts and dialogues like everyone's supposed to, that's going to make a big difference, because most people, they don't practice. They just pick up the phone and it doesn't go well. But when you practice and work on your craft, just like Michael Jordan, just like Kobe Bryant, just like Tom Brady, that's how you can become a winner and become a champion and take market share.
Absolutely. I love the way you go through that and what's important about it, because those 7 pillars, I think they're so very important. And the reason there's 7 of them that I label them as the most important is, hey, pick what you want to do. I believe sphere of influence has to be
Agreed, question. Yeah.
You've got to do it. And you know what? I firmly believe that a lot of people that say they work by referral really don't. They probably had a couple of good past customers that sent them a couple of clients, right? And maybe they got 2 or 3 that way, but they're not, because they're really not working their sphere of influence that way. And I think that the big myth with sphere of influence, correct me if you disagree, is that people don't want to hear me talk to them. People don't want me to annoy them. And the reason you would be annoying them is if you go and you spout real estate or puke real estate all over them. They don't want to hear that. How about adding value by just being a human being, being their friend if that's what you are, being their acquaintance if that's what you are. If they're a service person, hey, how can we help each other, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a really base that I'm going to tell you that I think 90% of the agents out there miss. Now, Tom, I'm going to tell you, you're doing the amount of business you're doing, you're going to get the referrals, you're going to get the repeat business simply because of your success, right? But that didn't happen in 2 days. That didn't happen in a year. That's, from here to there. And people shouldn't look at that as a thing, oh, I'll never get there. No, man, you worked your ass off and you did your 5 deals, your 20 deals, and you scooted it on up to 80. But let's talk about the internet lead system you talked about. You said you use internet, your 3 pillars are internet leads, or were internet leads, sphere of influence, and expireds. What is a great base for internet leads? Because now everybody, I hear Op City so much, right? And I look at the referrals, the referral, you have to pay them. What is a good one today, and how would it work for any agent?
So I'll answer that, but I want to hit on something that you said that was really important before we transition, and it was about those conversations with your clients and being a real person. And what a lot of people don't know is that last year Pennsylvania was the most restricted state in the country when it came to real estate, and our region specifically, we were the last region that could sell real estate. So we're sitting around, and we were able to increase our numbers from 255 to about 355 in number of transactions during a year like that. And the reason we did it was because we used an empathy script, right? And we were just calling our past clients and saying stuff like, hey, Dave, crazy times right now. How are you and your family doing? You guys hanging in there? Is everything okay? And there was no talk of real estate during those phone calls. And we've used that again and again because everyone knows you're a realtor, right? Everyone knows you sell real estate. So if you can have a human connection and really mean it, I mean, and really mean it and really believe in that, that's where you can increase your sphere of business. So I thought that was just a really important point in light of what happened over the past 15, 16 months, however long it's been. But let me answer your question. So internet leads, I think, there are a lot of like referral portals out there right now, right? You got Zillow, you got Dave Ramsey, you got realtors going with the Op City model, all these things. To me, if you're going to go in on one of those, understand that your job isn't just to close that sale. It's to generate referrals from the clients. That's where the money is at, because then you own the client. This is a cost of customer acquisition and people you probably wouldn't have talked to beforehand. So your goal has to be, I don't want to just close this one lead. I need 2 more sales from that person. And when are you going to ask for it? Tactically, how are you going to do it? Because then you build your database. And we talked about the long game and building your sphere. That's exactly what you're talking about. So the play isn't the now business. And I said earlier that the short-term business, like the short-term gratification, doesn't give you those long-term gains. So you got to look at it as what you're going to do after the sale. How are you going to take care of that person and adopt them into your sphere? And if you do that, then you're going to be able to really work those portals. So, you can do stuff with like Google My Business and post reviews and do all that. That's great. That's one option. But to me, it's what are you going to do afterwards? Because there's always a cost to those things.
So in other words, what you're saying, there's 2 points I want to make. In other words, just on the basic first is if you're going to do one, just pick one and just work it. Period. The end. Whatever it costs you, work it. But here's the one thing that you said, and I want to really hit hard with it, right? And that is, we're not playing the short game, we're playing the long game. So me and a co-coach of mine, and one of my coaches, Sekou Pyle, we say that, it's 90% no, 7% not yet, and 3% are ready to go now. We want to work in that 90%, which is the long game, and that's our momentum, right? Mm-hmm. And just to look at those and how we're going to nurture them. Now, look, we know that at least 35% of those are just like, they're nothing, right? But my point is that we want to build momentum with the ones that are not yet and not now, or maybe never, because that's where our business in 90 days to 120 days to 300 days is going to come from. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And that's where the follow-up is so important. The average realtor follows up 2.7 times, so not even 3. we know that all the sales data, if you look at any sales industry period, all the conversion happens at 6+ attempts for the most part. So you got to reach out at least 6 times. And usually it's even more than that, but that's kind of the breaking point. And if you're not doing the right follow-up, and we're big believers in we use a Boomtown CR. No, something happened.
You're there. You're
Okay,
good.
I don't know. My screen changed. I'll just keep talking. Cool. So, we use a Boomtown CRM, and what that means is that with that, we do like a big 4 follow-up. So we make sure everyone gets a property drip. We log the communication. We set the next follow-up. Those things are so critical, and that's why you've got to have it systemized, because if you're not doing that stuff and you're not sending properties and creating value and just trying to close for an appointment, something may change. They may be looking online in the voyeur stage. It might be 3-4 months out, but today's buyers, they only look at 6 to 10 homes before they buy something. So it's really critical to be ready to go with that.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Boomtown's a great system. I've worked on it, worked with it, seen it for years. There's Boomtown. Everybody's using KV Core these days, right? Because KV Core is coming with all the brands and stuff. They're getting it cheaper, and good for KV Core because they're doing really well. And it's a great system as well. There's a lot of other systems.
You got to use the system that you use. Doesn't matter which one. Like, just use it all in and go all in. That's the best advice, because there's plenty of good CRMs out there.
Right. And anybody asks me the question, they ask you the question. The answer is going to be the same. What CRM should I use? The one you'll use. That's the one you use.
Because changing the CRM is a disaster. We just happen to use them. And I think there's a lot of great systems out there. The point is, make sure you're working it and have a system, right? Like, so everyone goes on a property drip. We have a principle at our team that if it's not in the CRM, it didn't happen. So the communication's got to go through the CRM. So it's documented and you can look at the data. Make sure the follow-up's logged. Change the category appropriately. Like, these procedures got to be there, because the internet leads, they may not respond the first 5 or 6 times.
So let me ask you about the follow-up. Okay, so you're using Boomtown. I use KV Core. Doesn't matter. Same kind of thing, right? So
agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
So Tom, is it set it and forget it? I mean, is it a system like if you can't get them in the first 12 days, first 12 contacts, you set it and forget it?
Well, it'd be great if it was. And if it was, I'm sure everyone would be selling hundreds of homes a year. It'd be that easy.
There you go.
The human connection has got to be there. So, I think there's ways you can automate things with like drips, and that includes like emails and texts. That's a good tool to use within these systems. All of them have them, no matter what it is. However, if you're not getting a response, send them a video. Use a bomb. Use that sort of personal touch, and that's where, again, like, the phone calls make it. I was talking with an agent on our team who came over from another brokerage a couple months ago, and we were having coffee on Monday, and we've been hammering these metrics. And he goes, "You know what? I never did that before, and this guy didn't call me back after 7 phone calls. I called him the 8th time. He picked up, and we're going to look at houses." I mean, and he's like, "Oh, now I get it. It makes sense." And it wasn't because I did anything wrong. It's just he was busy. Life was happening. Like, you got to understand, like, we're calling people during the times they're at work, and right now, people going back to the office and doing different things, it's a little harder getting a hold of people.
Right. And, and we've said it a couple of times. You said it, I intimated to you a few minutes ago, was that it's not going to happen on the first call. If it does, you're gold. That's great. You better make that impression. Yeah. But it happens usually. There's a thing out there. I forget where I got it, but I have it. It's called the marketing rule of 12, right? Most contacts are made between the 5th and the 12th attempt to communicate, right? And that's really important. So, you know what? Whether you want to get through those 12 attempts quickly or not, that's up to you. But the quicker you do it, the better it is. I've talked to Glenn Sanford and Tristan Amata about speed to lead. While speed to lead is important, value to lead is also just as important, right? Just since I mentioned that, speed to lead, value to lead, what's really important? I know you want to get to that lead quickly, but is there anything else that's more important?
Well, there's a lot of times where, like, a lead asks questions and people don't answer the question. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. I think it's so critical you give them what they're looking for, whether the home's sold already or they need to get some information. So make sure you're answering the questions. Speed to lead's important. To me, the follow-up is as important as speed to lead, because they may not be ready to go. They might need some more information. And, most salespeople don't follow up, and most salespeople talk way too much. So if you're asking the right questions and you're sticking to that sort of follow-up schedule, whatever you're going to develop, whatever your system's going to be, and there's a lot of data out there you can use to make your own, or you can just rip off somebody else's. You've got to have the system, follow the system, and make sure you're staying in touch with people and giving them the information they want.
So when we're talking about follow-up, we're talking about email, we're talking about text, we're talking about phone calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're also talking about video as well, right? I mean, you said yourself, one of the best ways to communicate with them is through video. I'm assuming that means video text, right? And that's something that I've been teaching that for over 8 years now, believe it or not. And you know what? Still people don't want to do it. I mean, it's the same with video. People just don't want to do it. I mean, if they look up Tom Toole on Facebook, I mean, there's videos up there of you talking about the market, having conversations with people. I mean, it's awesome. I love the way you do it. I mean, I've been doing video for probably about, I'm going to say 14 years. And, all different ways. And we were talking about, the sphere of influence thing this morning earlier and talking about doing things by referral. I did a video this morning earlier because I usually do videos after I run, and I ran this morning. And I talked about, people saying they do business by referral and they're not doing it right. They're not talking to people. This is the way they should talk. So, there's just so many ways for us to build our business. And, it's not, what? I think one of the things that agents really need to look at is a quote I get from my buddy Grant Wise, who says, "I'm not looking to be the most successful. I'm looking to be the most valuable." And to do that, you really need to listen. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, I just said salespeople talk way too much. I mean, every agent watching this right now needs to adopt like the 80-20 rule, meaning you should be only talking about 20% of the time. Let the client do the rest of the talking and ask the right questions. Don't tell them what's going on. Especially right now where you have these incredible multiple offer situations, or people are having to bid these amazing numbers to get houses. It's not telling them that. It's, hey, Dave, so how far are you willing to go to get this house? How much do you want this home? And then let them tell you, and then you can give some advice, because our job is to be a guide in the process, not to be the hero. And when you guide people the right way, you ask the right questions and you listen, you're gonna be a lot more valuable, because you're listening to them and then tailoring your advice to their needs and wants, not you closing another sale or getting them the house.
Exactly. And what you're talking about is number one, you're telling them how aggressive they wanted to be on that offer with what we've got going on now, and things are changing. We know that, but the question is what are you doing in the beginning of that relationship as you start building that relationship, setting expectations? So, Tom, when you're working with a new buyer, and you want to set expectations, how exactly are you doing that with your buyers? Just let's bring it down to the pure simplicity of it. What are you doing to set expectations?
So we have a script that we have practiced with our team about what's going on in the market, and it's factual data, and we're quoting third-party sources with that data. So we talk about how many millennial home buyers are coming to the market, the percentage of millennial home buyers applying for mortgages right now, what that's done for demand, what supply looks like. We have all the stats, all the data. It's from our MLS, NAR, the Mortgage Bankers Association. And we give them that information. And we also ask them what they've heard about the market, right? And I think that's probably the most important question, because you have no idea. They might have a really good handle on what's happening. Or they could have no idea because their friend told them a story and it sounded great, but people always don't tell you exactly what goes on in these transactions. So asking them what they've heard and what they know, then giving them the actual data, and then asking them some additional questions like, hey, so knowing all this, are you ready to jump into the market right now? Are you ready to go pursue a home? Because some people may say, you know what, this market is not for me. I don't want to deal with all that. And that's okay. And that's not someone you should be spending your time with, because you're never going to make someone do something they don't want to do. It's more about getting them to where they want to go and understanding what their needs are.
Absolutely. I mean, that was beautiful. Talking about, you're actually talking about what's going on and saying, are you ready to go? Are you really willing to do this? Because I think that's where we lose. I mean, in the first part of the conversation of getting them in for the appointment, whatever that means, whether that's a Zoom call or one-on-one or in person or before the showing, it's a matter of setting the expectations that creates that. When you don't do it properly and completely, you're losing the buyer because they don't understand what's going on. And, you're losing one, you're losing 2, 4, 5, 6, 8 houses because you didn't weren't aggressive enough, or you didn't really look at the situation properly. And I think that's really important. And to me, that all has to do with a word called control, where you're able to put forth what's going on in the market so that they can make proper decisions. You give them the information, then they ask you questions, right? So, what is one of the ways that you've been able to scale your business? Like you said, you went from 20 to 80, and now this year you're on track to do over 500 homes. What is the secret? What is the path? What is the system? What is the systems that you've compounded over the years to help you build and scale your business?
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's probably different levels there, right? So I'll start from the
Yes.
beginning. So just from my first year to get to that breakthrough of 80, which was a big breakthrough. I mean, that was the first real breakthrough I felt in my business, because it wasn't like that nominal growth. It was exponential. It was a focus on generating listings and being relentless on getting listing appointments and knowing that's going to be the thing that drives our business the most, because when you control the inventory, you control the market. And especially right now, I mean, think about the agents that have all the listings. They're the ones that are, they get call-ins, they get inbound leads. You don't have to pay for that stuff. It's not coming through like one of these portal sites like we talked about. So going after listings and understanding that's how to build your business would be number one. And that was what really led me to the first breakthrough. And I'm working on my skills, like getting my listing appointment down, understanding my numbers. I know that every listing appointment I've gone on, 72% of the time, I walk out of there with a signed listing contract. Every 13 people I talk to, I would schedule a listing appointment, and 72% of the time, the listing appointment would happen. So I know my numbers. So then it led me to be predictable. And if I talk to X amount of people a day, here's how many sales I can do, and here's where I'm going to focus my energies. So that's number one, is having a business plan, knowing your numbers, and pursuing listings. I think that's a really important thing. So that was the first breakthrough. Then there's the team breakthrough, and that one's a lot more difficult in my view. I've definitely made some mistakes. I mean, like everybody else. So I don't want to sit here and tell you I had it down. So the first thing when you're building a team, it's really important to be clear on who's doing what and what are their KPIs. So who's responsible for what, and how are you going to measure their performance? Because if you just put people in these jobs and don't give them any training and just hire anybody, it's not going to go well. So you got to be very clear on your org chart and what the measurables are, and then have regular reviews about those things. So you might have to measure, per agent productivity, or how many appointments we go on a month, and have the numbers that you're looking to hit, and then track it all. So it's no different than the single agent part. You got to, because we know what we track and measure always improves, right? So if you're doing that, then you can start to scale. So have a very clear org chart, have a way to measure everybody. And then the additional thing is, when it comes to building a team, I think it's really important to empower your agents, but also have standards that people have to hit, and then actually enforce them. Because if they're not going to follow the standards, then they're probably not right for your team, and that's okay. But if you don't have some sort of minimum standard of what people are expected to do, and that comes back to the job description and the KPIs, and there's no accountability. And when there's no accountability, you're not going to get a business that you're going to be happy with, because people are going to work when they feel like it, stop working when they don't. So, I mean, those are some really key things, and then just really developing those systems and understanding here's where the leads are going to come from. Here's how we handle an inbound lead. Here's how we handle an outbound lead, and just have a standard operating procedure about how you do things in your business. Because, if you say, okay, we set a listing appointment, then the following things happen, and there's like a bullet point checklist, that's going to be the thing that helps you have a repeatable result that's scalable. Not when you just kind of do it however you feel like it that day. So have some clear procedures, and then follow them every time, no matter what.
So Tom, is it important for you as a team leader, for you as the team and starting a team, a couple of things? Number one, to have business, and number two, to have the methodologies in place. We talk about systems. I understand that. But number one, I believe it's important for you to have some business and to really be kind of a generator. Yeah, without question, right? The second thing is it in the Tom Toole Sales Group? Is there a method that you use? Is there a script that you use for everything as far as listing presentation, buyer presentation? Is it something that you want everyone to use, or everyone has to use? Is that important?
We want them to get the script down. Absolutely. We have a presentation that we use. We've got deliverables, all that stuff. Then, like any script, right? And Dave, you and I have been through this before. You get the script down, but you got to internalize it first. Once it's internalized, then
Yes.
you can make it your own a little bit. But there's a format, right? There's an outline. And if you follow the outline, I know that you're going to get a listing X amount of time. And not enough team leads transfer the listing skill. I mean, I've said this a couple of times. They don't transfer the listing skill to their teammates, and that's something we're committed to doing. We have a weekly listing training for everybody if they want to come. So we're doing this on a weekly basis, and there's a lot of practice and a lot of repetition there. So we absolutely have scripts and dialogues and appointments that we share with the team, and that's what we teach and train on. Your first point about should you have business, I cannot agree with that more. I mean, I went as far as I could on my own before we started the team. And I mean, once you get to that capacity of like 80 sales, I mean, I don't know that maybe you get to 100 as a single agent, but
Tough, it's tough.
And there's a capacity there. I think that's like the maximum amount one person can do.
Yes.
And I've heard this from a lot of other people as well. Here's the thing: if if someone's coming, you're going to attracts like. So if you're going to attract people to join your team, and you're not doing any business, you're attracting people that probably don't want to do any business. Now, if you're but if you're a high producer and you're doing 50, 60, 70, 80 deal, whatever that is, you're going to attract the same kind of people that want that. And then you got to deliver on the training on the back end to show them how to do it. Because and the key here, in my view, is not just showing them how to do it, but to be a real leader, you've got to develop other leaders within your company. You can't be the only one. And if you have a leadership issue, you've got to develop other leaders or bring them in, which is something we're really committed to doing with our leadership team. Because if you don't, everything's going to roll up to you, and then you're not going to have time to do the stuff that you're really good at. You're going to be doing everything else, and you're going to have a capacity to do with sales. So it's really critical to not only transfer the leadership skills, but also the sales skills, the listing skills, whatever got you there. But you have to be able to do business in the first place. I see way too many team leads. They have like one good year. Hey, we're going to start a team, and there's no organization. They don't get it. It becomes a problem. I mean, you've probably seen it too. That's probably why you asked the question.
No, I've seen it time and time again in my years of owning a brokerage. Oh, I think I want to start a team. Well, you did 3 transactions last year. Tell me about that. Right? I'm gonna get my license in another state, and I'm gonna have teams in both states. Great. When will you start doing business in both states? I don't mean to be critical of people and stuff, but this is what we see, and it's only part of the reason, Tom, that a lot of teams don't make money, why they're not profitable. They may work really well, but they're not profitable. If you don't have your systems and tools and processes in place, it's not going to work. It's just like, let's bring it down to the simplest things that we started this little piece about, scripts and dialogues. A good friend of both of ours, John Cheplak, calls it copywriting and language patterns, which is really what it is, right? So, I mean, it's pretty amazing that, they can do whatever they want. What do you mean they can do whatever they want? You're the rainmaker. You're the one making, or supposedly you're the lead generator. You want to get the most value and the best return of investment. You're now a business person. You're not just a real estate agent, right? And that's probably one of the most important things that most people don't get, is that they are a business person. And when you go from being an agent to being a team leader or running a team, you've gone from agent to business person, but you didn't know already that you already were the CEO of your business. You didn't understand that if you don't know about systems and processes, right?
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's why with coaching and the reason you hear about these breakthroughs, like I've had a real estate coach since 2010, so I mean it's been a long time, and that's where we started to start to see things kind of work our way up, build them up, and that's been something that's been invaluable to have that guidance, because then there's other people that have made these same mistakes, but you've got to have everything documented. I mean, it's got to be, and onboarding anybody to your team, you got to have a strong onboarding process, because if you don't onboard them, I mean, our onboarding now is, hey, here's the history of our team. Here's how we got here. Here's the mistakes that were made that slowed our growth. Like, we're super transparent with anyone that comes aboard, because that's the only way to be in this world, because everyone's going to find out everything anyway. And so we tell them everything up front. Then we walk them through all our systems from the beginning. And then we break down what the training's going to look like over the next 8 weeks, so they know exactly what to expect and they know what's going to be expected of them. Because if you don't meet the expectations when you're in the hiring process, then that's where you're going to have people walk away. So it's super, super critical to be in lockstep. Come through on what you say you will, because that's like an integrity issue that a lot of people have, where they say never deliver on it, which is a whole other problem. But if it comes out of my mouth, even if it was the wrong decision, I'm going to honor that, because that's the kind of organization people want to work with. But that's the challenge with real estate agents right now. I mean, they just don't have these systems, they don't have these processes, and they don't run it like a business. They run it like it's like another realtor, and that's not scalable. And to your point, that's where profitability becomes an issue.
Exactly. So, all right. So we talked about building a team. We talked about the hiring process, which, is important because you want similar people. Some people do profiles, disc profiles, etc. What are they? I get that. Never been a fan, but that's okay. That's my opinion. That's fine. Right. So then there's the hiring process, then there's onboarding process, and then there's the training. All right. Which is what I want to focus on for a minute for a new agent. What do you feel a new agent in their steps, let's say 3 steps of learning, should learn how to do? I mean, and I preface this with, they got to make money. So What is important for a new agent? Is it, I see people, I used to do this as a broker owner. First thing I did was teach forms. And I'm thinking now that was stupid, because they don't need a form until they got a piece of business. Let's do it then.
Yep.
So what's the best way to get them to start doing business fast? And how does that training process, what does it look like?
So at our team, our expectation is everyone gets a deal on the board in the first 30 days when they join. So, I mean, we're not one of these people that says you got to wait 6 months, because if that was me, I'd be like, hey, you know what, guys, I'm out. That's not going to work for me. So knowing that's the expectation, you hit the nail on the head, Dave. We treat the training as the progression of what's going to happen in an actual real estate transaction. So the first thing we focus on is how to set appointments, scripts and dialogues around them, and lead generation. That's the thing nobody likes talking about. And it's the most important part of all this, because if you're not going to lead generate, then you got to tolerate all these crazy people you end up working with. So lead gen, appointment setting, scripts, that's number one. Then getting the appointment down. Like, what's the consultation look like? Are you doing a driveway consultation in the front of the house, or are you getting them into the office? Is it a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment? So understanding those appointments and having the script down for those. I mean, my appointment is very scripted. I can give it to you right now without any materials, because I've done it so many times and I practiced it. That's not going to be everybody, but we want them to get it down so they're confident delivering it and they can build rapport. So we go lead gen and appointment setting first, then the appointment and making sure that goes well so you can get the client. And then we show them the language to use to win an offer, to get an agreement accepted, and what the forms look like. Those are really the 3 components. And we go right in the progression of, what do you got to do first? And I'm happy to, our sales manager and myself, we'll be happy to, we have videos recorded on our team training site. So it's, hey, here's how you write an offer. So they got to write an offer. Go watch that. Call me if you have any questions, because that's an easier thing to teach. The harder stuff is the sales skills, the conversion, and getting the business. That's what I want them focused on, not getting hung up in the forms. So I think you brought up a great point there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the thing you said about the forms, I think was the last thing you're going to talk about. Right. I mean, I always said to new agents, what's the hardest thing or the worst thing that could happen where you would panic the most? If someone says, yeah, I want to buy a house from you, or yeah, I want to put an offer in, or yeah, I'll list my home with you. That's like the most, I think, the scariest thing for a new agent to get through. So, there's a lot of things we've talked about, and we talked about frustrations. We talked about roadblocks. We talked about what's important for a new agent. We talked about scaling from 20 to 80 to 500, right? We talked about a lot of different things. So where does Tom Toole and the Tom Toole Sales Group now go getting to that 500 plus? What are you going to do now? I mean, is there a ceiling? Is where are you going to go? You going to 1,000 next?
We have a very clear vision we came up with in 2016 of opening a couple different locations and doing 500 sales out of each location. So, I mean, that's what we're aiming towards. And, our intention now is to become the most recognized and well-reviewed real estate brand in the Philadelphia metro area. I mean, that's, and not a brokerage, it's our team. And, you look at what's happening in real estate right now. There's so much disruption coming from all different places. You mentioned OpCity or Zillow, or, you have all these discount brokerages coming in, or the NAR DOJ lawsuit. There's so many things going on. The thing that's going to save real estate agents if they want to have a business in 5 to 10 years, is being a strong local brand and being very recognizable in your own marketplace. And that is what we are looking to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's like, it's funny, a year and a half ago, I had Tom Ferry on the broadcast. And one of the questions I asked him was, Tom, you're all over the place. Tell me, what's the next disruptor? If the last disruptor really was Zillow, what's the next disruptor? His answer to me was, Dave, I'm in these rooms with these people, the tech people, the agents, everything. There's really not a disruptor. The only thing that can disrupt us is the agent, right? And the evolution of that agent, right? And while he was 100% correct, he also, worked his answer to the point where he didn't see anything new, where actually everything that's out there is not new. It's just evolved, right?
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I've been in the room with him. I mean, we work with him as well. And it's,
Right.
hey, he said a couple of years ago, commission compression's coming, right? And it's coming in the form of all these people looking for a piece of the pie, not necessarily fees going down. And then now you got this lawsuit and everything else and the settlement pulled out. DOJ and Zillow, they're going to do whatever they want to do. You've got to build your business so it's undisruptible. And that is our intention.
That is 100% right. I think that's one of the most important things you said. Make your business undisruptible, where nothing gets in your way. It's undisruptible, and I'm also going to say indestructible. Right, Tom? We're up on a time here.
Yes.
How do people get in touch with you in order to work with you and just sell a home or buy a home with you in the Philly area?
Sure. So there's a couple great ways to connect. So go to our website. It's tomtoole.com, TOMTOOLE.com. Another great way to connect with me is on Instagram. We put out a ton of content there. We have a video that drops pretty much every day at this point, whether it's real estate agent hacks or consumer information, and that's at Tom Toole 3RD on Instagram. Give me a follow there. Shoot me a DM. Happy to interact with anyone's got questions about what we talked about here, because we're big believers in service, and people have helped me along the way, and we're here to deliver that back to the real estate community.
Oh, that's fantastic. I want to thank you so much for coming on. And there's two things we have yet to do now, Tom. And one is a question I have for you is, how do I help you grow your business? How can I, Dave Finale, help you grow your business?
That's a great question. And I mean, just having me on here, I mean, super grateful you even reached out in the first place. I mean, you're having all these people on that I work with, and I'm like, wow, how can I say no to this? So that was really cool. So one, just grateful for the opportunity. And I mean, I think that the best thing to do is, if someone in the area and they want to ramp their business up or they want to get in touch, I mean, we're certainly looking to grow our team and to hit those intentions that we talked about. So, I mean, anyone that's, that wants to talk about that, I'd love to connect with them. That's the best thing. And also we can give them a great sustainable career as well, which I think is really important.
And I think one of the great sustainable things about life and everything is the reason you came on the show, because you talked about all these other people have been on, but you also know that they all got a hat when they came on, yeah. Right? And it's something that you had to have. So, you know what? This is going to go out to you. Stay on for a minute. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to go off right now. Look, guys, reach out to Tom and his group, and let's rock and roll. Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Hold on, here.